Today we're going to start our unit on conic sections, which means that we're going to start with circles. And the objective today is to write and graph the equations of circles. The standard form of a circle centered at the origin is just x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So if you look at the first example, we have x squared plus y squared equals 16, which means that r squared equals 16, so our radius is equal to 4, and then you can see that on the graph. The standard form of circles centered at some point that isn't the origin, so we'll call that point hk, is x minus h squared plus y minus k, that quantity squared, equals r squared. And it's very similar to the vertex form of a parabola. We need to remember that anytime we're inside a parenthesis, we move in the opposite direction. So for the example that I gave you, we have the quantity x minus 1 squared plus the quantity y plus 3 squared equals 4. So our center is going to be 1 comma negative 3, and our radius is equal to 2 because 4 squared because 2 squared is 4. So then to plot this, you would simply put a little x or a little dot at the center and then go up 2, right 2, left 2, and down 2 to get the 4 other points. And then you connect the dots for the circle. So now we're going to graph the following circles stating the center and the radius. For the first example, when we have the quantity x plus 3 squared plus the quantity y minus 2 squared equals 9, that means that our center is negative 3, 2. Our radius is 3. So we'll go ahead and draw our axes. And I move the axes slightly to the right since we're going to the left 3 and up 2 for our center. And then since the radius is 3, put a point up 3, right 3, down 3, and left 3. And then you want to connect the dots in as close to a round circular form as you can create. Sometimes they get a little lumpy, but you definitely don't want to draw a diamond. In the second example, our center will be 1 comma 0, and the 0 is there because there's no value with the y, and our radius will be the square root of 8, which we can reduce to 2 root 2, but we know is 2.9-ish, so it's approximately 2.9. So we'll go ahead and draw our axes. We'll plot our center, the little x, and then we'll go up a little bit less than 3, and right a little bit less than 3, and down a little bit less than 3, and left a little bit less than 3, because we know that the square root of 8 is less than the square root of 9, so it's less than 3. And then again, we'll do our best to make this circular. There we go. And there's your circle. Oftentimes, though, we're not given the equation of the circle in standard form, and instead we're going to have to complete the square. So I want to review that process with you. So if we're given something like 137 plus 6y equals negative y squared minus x squared minus minus 24x, we're going to move all variables to one side. And we'll have and we want x squared and y squared to be positive. And then we'll move the constant to the other side. When I move all of the terms, I am going to leave a little space for what I need to add in. I'm going to group the x's and the y's together. All right, so since the coefficients of x squared and y squared are equal to 1, we can go ahead and just simply complete the square. So we'll divide the linear term by 2 and square the result to find what we're adding. If the x squared and y squared coefficients are not equal to 1, then you have to factor out the coefficient first before you can complete the square, and then you need to be careful to make sure that you are adding the same thing to both sides, or the correct things to both sides. All right, so we look at 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 12 squared is 144. So we want to add 144 to this side and 144 to that side. We also want to do that with the y terms. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is equal to 9. So we'll add 9 here and add 9 there. Then we can go ahead and just rewrite it with all of the addition. And negative 137, because I forgot to write the minus sign when I subtracted it, plus 144 plus 9 is equal to 16. So then we can add the terms, kind of rewrite it. And now we're going to rewrite as perfect squares. So x squared plus 24x plus 144, if you look at that and you factor it, you know that this becomes x plus 12, the quantity squared, plus, when we look at the next three terms, we get y plus 3 squared equals 16. So our center would be at negative 12, negative 3, and our radius would be at 4. Not that they asked us that, but you know, just to be safe. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and write the equations in standard form and then graph them, which means that we are going to have to complete the square several times. So I'll start by adding x squared plus 28x plus y squared plus 4y equals negative 191. If we look at the 28, 28 divided by 2 squared is 14, which is 196. So we'll add 196 here. And then 4 over 2 squared. 4 over 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So we'll also add a 4. So then we get x squared plus 28x plus 196 plus y squared plus 4y plus 4 equals 9. We'll factor it to x plus 14 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 9. This means that our center is at negative 14, negative 2. Our radius is 3. So I'm going to move the axes over, and since I'm going to run out of space, I'll make each block. So we'll scale by 2s. And make sure that if you do change the scaling, you write that down. Okay, so since we scaled by 2s, negative 14, negative 2 is 7 blocks to the left. And 1 block down. And because we scaled by 2s, our radius is basically 1.5 blocks up, 1.5 blocks over, 1.5 blocks down, and 1.5 blocks to the left. And then again, we do the best we can to make this round like a circle. Make sure that your graphs stay on the grid that you were given. All right, next example, we need to move the y's over and rewrite it. So we'll have x squared minus 6x plus y squared minus 10y equals 47. we'll look at the -6. So -6 divided by 2 squared is 3. 3 squared is 9. So we'll add 9. And -10 over 2 squared is 25. So then we will add 25. Because I'm running out of space, I'm not going to rewrite it. I'm just going to go ahead and factor. So x squared minus 6x plus 9 factors to the quantity x minus 3 squared plus the quantity y minus 5 squared equals 81. So then our center is 3, 5, and our radius is 9. Because the radius is 9, we're not going to be able to scale, or be able to stay on the graph, so we'll scale by 2's again. Draw on our axes. I'm going to move them down and to the left a little bit so I have enough space. All right, so 3, 5, if we count by 2's, is 1.5 over and 2.5 up. And then 9 would be 4.5 blocks. So I'm just going to count that out. And then again, do the best you can to make it circular. All right, last example, we have an equation where we know the center. They gave it to us. It's -5, -7. But we want to move that 5 to the left and 7 down. So if you think about that on a graph, -5 moved 5 to the left goes to -10. And -7 moved down 4 would be -11. So our new equation would be x plus 10 squared plus y plus 11 squared. Nothing happened to the radius, so our radius squared is still 36. And our radius is 6. And since there aren't 17 blocks on this, I'll scale by 2's one last time. And move our axes up and to the right so that we have enough space. Then our center moves 5 blocks to the left and 5.5 down. So there's our center. And then we'll count up 6, which is 3 blocks. And then we'll draw something that's fairly round, hopefully rounder than my 4th example. Ooh, I'm going to fix that. And now it's fixed and it looks much rounder. As always, let me know if you guys have any questions.